Hello Leo, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Elizabeth Angel Tarot. Okay Leo, let's start the reading. Something just landed in my awareness the moment I sat down to deliver this message. And it is so specific, so unusually precise, that I need to share it with you exactly as it arrived. There is a warmth gathering around you right now, not a metaphor, not a poetic way of saying something nice. An actual tangible concentration of energy that is pooling in the space just above your chest and radiating outward through your shoulders and down through your arms. If you are feeling that right now, that subtle heat, that gentle buzzing in your hands or your heart, then you already know this message was placed in your path for a reason that goes far beyond curiosity. I am going to do something a little different with this reading. Instead of telling you what I already know, I am going to let you walk with me through what I am sensing in real time, layer by layer, as each piece of information reveals itself. Because what is forming around your life right now is not something that can be summarized in a single statement. It has depth, it has texture, and it is arriving in stages, each one building on the one before it. The way a photograph slowly develops in a darkroom shapes first, then shadows, then suddenly, unmistakably, a face you recognize. The first thing I am picking up is a quality of inevitability. That is the word that keeps pressing forward. Not inevitability in the heavy, fated sense, not the feeling of being dragged towards something whether you want it or not. This is the kind of inevitability you feel when a flower is about to bloom. There is no question it will open, the conditions have been met, the warmth is present, the roots have done their hidden, unseen work beneath the surface for longer than anyone was paying attention, and now the only thing left is the opening itself. That is where you stand right now, at the precise edge of an opening that has been preparing itself, in silence, in your sleep, in your quiet moments, in the pauses between your thoughts, for a very long time. And I want to stay with this image for a moment, because it carries information. A flower does not bloom through effort. It does not strain or push or will itself open through determination. It blooms because the internal chemistry has reached a tipping point, and the petals simply have no choice but to unfold. That is what is happening inside you. Something chemical, something alchemical, has reached its threshold. The inner work, the growth, the healing, the thousands of small decisions you have made to keep choosing yourself, even when it was difficult and thankless and invisible, all of it has been building toward a saturation point, and you have arrived there. You are at the tipping point. What happens next is not something you need to manufacture. It is something you need to allow. Now a second layer is coming through, and this one surprised me. I am sensing a very specific kind of intelligence at work in your life right now. Not your intelligence, though that is certainly part of the picture, but an intelligence that operates beyond your conscious planning. Call it grace, call it divine orchestration, call it the quiet hand of something larger than your individual mind. Whatever name feels right to you, the important thing is that it is active, it is working, and it has been arranging circumstances, shifting timelines, redirecting people and resources with a specificity that would astonish you if you could see the full blueprint. You have been wondering why certain things fell away. You have been wondering why some doors closed that you desperately wanted to walk through. You have been asking yourself whether the detours and the disappointments meant that you were on the wrong path, and what I can tell you with absolute clarity is that you were never off course. Every single redirection was a calculated move by this intelligence, positioning you with surgical precision exactly where you need to be for what is about to unfold. Let me pause here and acknowledge something I feel strongly about saying. This is not one of those readings where I tell you that good things might be coming if you stay positive and keep believing. I want to be very direct with you, because what I am sensing deserves directness. The shift that is approaching your life has a quality of certainty to it that I do not encounter often. It is not a possibility among many possibilities. It is not dependent on whether you perform the right rituals or say the right affirmations or maintain perfect emotional balance every single day. It is moving toward you with a steady, unhurried confidence, of something that knows exactly where it is going and exactly when it will arrive. Your belief in it does not make it more real. Your doubt does not slow it down. It exists independent of your awareness of it. The way the sunrise exists, whether or not you are awake to see it. And that, to me, is one of the most reassuring things Spirit has ever communicated in a reading, the knowledge that what is meant for you does not require your perfection. It only requires your presence. A third layer is surfacing now, and this is where the reading begins to deepen in a way that I think will resonate with something very personal inside you. I am picking up on a pattern of self-containment that has defined much of your life. You are someone who holds things inside, not because you are closed off or incapable of sharing, but because you learned very early that your inner world was safer when it was protected. You developed the ability to process alone, to carry alone, to celebrate alone, to grieve alone. And that ability served you beautifully for a long time. It made you resilient. It made you resourceful. It taught you that you could survive anything as long as you had yourself. But here's what I'm sensing. That pattern of self-containment is about to be tenderly, lovingly interrupted. Not broken, not ripped away from you, but softened, expanded, opened just enough to allow something in that you have not previously had room for. What is entering your life requires a kind of receptivity that goes beyond what you have practiced before. It is asking you to let yourself be supported in ways you have never allowed, to be seen in the places you have kept hidden, to receive without immediately calculating what you owe in return. This is not about weakness. This is about the strength it takes to let your guard down when every survival instinct you have spent years building tells you to keep it up. And I want you to know that the universe is not asking you to do this blindly or recklessly. It is creating the conditions of safety first. The people, the circumstances, the opportunities that are aligning around you right now are not random. They have been vetted, in a sense, by the same intelligence that has been guiding your path all along. What is arriving can be trusted. It has earned its place in your life even before you know its name. I am now sensing something about your energy that I want to name, because I think you have been feeling it without having a word for it. There is a quiet electricity running through your days lately, a subtle current beneath the surface of your routine that makes ordinary moments feel slightly charged, slightly more vivid than usual. Colors might seem a little brighter, music might hit differently. You might find yourself pausing in the middle of a mundane task and feeling a sudden swell of emotion that has no obvious source, not sadness, not joy, but something closer to recognition. As if your body is registering a change that your mind has not caught up to yet. That electricity is significant. It is not anxiety in disguise or restlessness without a cause. It is your energetic field recalibrating itself to match the frequency of what is incoming. You are literally, on a vibrational level, being upgraded to receive what you could not have held space for before now. And I want to go deeper into this point because your body is communicating something that your mind has been filtering out. You have been receiving signals for some time now, a pull towards certain places, a sudden disinterest in habits that once felt necessary, a craving for solitude that is not loneliness but rather a deep need to be alone with your own becoming. Perhaps you have noticed changes in your sleep. Not insomnia exactly, but a different quality to your rest, as if your subconscious is processing enormous amounts of information during the night and you wake with a clarity that was not there when you fell asleep. Or perhaps your dreams have become more vivid, more layered, carrying images and emotions that linger into your waking hours like perfume left in an empty room. These are not random biological fluctuations. Your entire system, physical, emotional, energetic, is reconfiguring itself for what is ahead, the way a house is rewired before a major renovation. The lights might flicker during the process, but the end result is a system capable of holding far more power than before. Trust what your body is telling you. Rest when it asks you to rest. Move when it asks you to move. It knows the timeline even when your conscious mind does not. There is a very particular kind of abundance I am sensing in this reading, and I want to be precise about what I mean, because the word abundance gets used so often in spiritual spaces that it has almost lost its meaning. I am not talking about a generic increase in good things. I am talking about a specific, targeted arrival of exactly what you have needed in the area of your life where the absence has been felt most deeply, where you have felt the most lack, the most longing, the most persistent ache of something missing. That is the precise location where this abundance is being delivered. Not scattered broadly across your life like confetti. Concentrated, intentional, aimed directly at the place where it will create the most profound sense of wholeness. And when it arrives, you will understand why it could not have come sooner. The timing is not cruel. The timing is architectural. It is arriving now because you are now the person who can hold it, honor it, and allow it to grow. I want to bring your attention to something Elizabeth Angel Tarot is sensing very strongly in this moment, which is the presence of a guiding energy around you that has intensified significantly in recent times. This is not a new presence. It has been with you for as long as you have been alive, but it has moved closer, become more active, more vocal in its guidance. You may have noticed this as an increase in intuitive hits, moments where you knew something before you had any logical reason to know it, moments where you followed an impulse that made no rational sense and it turned out to be exactly the right move, moments where a thought dropped into your mind, fully formed, as if someone had placed it there like a note slipped under a door. That is not your imagination. That is not wishful thinking. That is real, active, present guidance from a source that knows your path better than your conscious mind ever could, and it is increasing in frequency and clarity because of what is approaching. The guidance is getting louder because the decisions ahead of you matter more, not in a pressured way, in a supported way. You are being given more help precisely because the terrain is about to become more significant. Now another layer arrives, and this one has a different quality to it, slower, deeper, more rooted. I am sensing a shift in the very ground beneath your life. Not the surface events, not the visible circumstances, but the foundation upon which everything else rests. For a long time, that foundation has been made of things you built out of necessity, survival strategies, coping mechanisms, relationships maintained out of obligation, routines constructed to keep you functional rather than fulfilled. And piece by piece, without drama or catastrophe, that old foundation is being replaced by something far more solid and far more aligned with who you actually are. You may have noticed small signs of this already. Situations you used to tolerate becoming suddenly intolerable. Compromises you once made without thinking now feeling like they cost too much. A growing inability to pretend that what is fine is actually good enough. These are not signs of discontent, they are signs of alignment. Your standards are rising because your sense of self is rising. And the life that is forming around this new foundation will reflect the truth of who you are in a way that nothing before it has. And what fascinates me about this foundational shift is how it changes not just what you do, but how you perceive yourself when no one is watching. There is a mirror inside every person, an internal reflection that shows them who they believe they are, and for so long, the image in your mirror has been shaped by other people's perceptions, by past experiences that told you what you were worth, by the narrative that was handed to you before you were old enough to write your own. That mirror is being cleaned right now, gently, carefully, and what is emerging beneath the dust and the fingerprints and the old stories is your actual face. Not the face you wear for the world, not the face you think people want to see. Your real face, the one that carries the light of your truest self, unfiltered, unapologetic, and more beautiful than you have allowed yourself to believe. When you begin to see yourself clearly, when the internal mirror finally reflects truth instead of distortion, the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself around that clarity. What you see in yourself is what life will confirm, and what you are beginning to see is magnificent. Let me share what I am sensing about the people in your life, because this is an important piece of the picture. There is a sorting happening in your relational world that is both subtle and undeniable. Some connections are deepening without any apparent reason. Conversations are becoming more honest, more nourishing, more reciprocal. There is a warmth returning to bonds that may have felt cool or distant. And simultaneously, other connections are fading. not with conflict or confrontation, but with a quiet, mutual release, as if both parties can feel that the contract between them has been fulfilled. This sorting is not something you need to manage or control. It is happening organically, guided by the same intelligence we spoke about earlier. And what will remain after the sorting is complete is a relational landscape that truly supports the life you are stepping into. People who see you clearly, who honor your growth, who are not threatened by your expansion but are genuinely, deeply nourished by it. I am picking up on something now that I want to handle with care, because it is tender. There is a dream inside you, and I am using that word deliberately, not a goal, not an ambition, but a dream. Something you have carried quietly, privately, maybe even secretly, for a very long time. Something you may have talked yourself out of 100 times. Something you may have told yourself was impractical, or too late, or too much to ask for. That dream is not dead, it is not irrelevant, and it is not too much. What I am sensing is that the new chapter forming in your life has a direct, intimate connection to that dream. Not in the way you might expect. It may not manifest in the exact form you originally imagined, but its essence, its core feeling, the reason you wanted it in the first place, that is being woven into what is coming. The universe heard you. It heard you every single time you whispered that, wanting to yourself in the dark. And it has been building a bridge between where you are and where that dream lives, and the bridge is nearly complete. There is a quality of permission being granted to you right now that I want to name explicitly, because I sense that no one has said this to you clearly enough. You are allowed to want what you want. You are allowed to expect beautiful things. You are allowed to prepare for joy without bracing for disappointment. You are allowed to believe that the next chapter of your life can be characterized by ease and fulfillment and deep, quiet happiness, without waiting for the catch, without scanning the horizon for the other shoe that is supposedly about to drop. That vigilance, that constant readiness for things to go wrong, it has been your armor for so long that it might feel unsafe to set it down. But I want you to consider the possibility that the very act of setting it down is what creates the space for what is trying to arrive. Joy needs room. It needs open hands and an unguarded heart. And you are being asked, gently and without pressure, to practice receiving without flinching. I am sensing a particular kind of surrender being asked of you right now, and I want to be clear that surrender, in this context, has nothing to do with giving up. It is the opposite of giving up. It is the most active, most courageous thing you can do in this moment. It is the decision to stop fighting the current of your own life and to let it carry you where it has been trying to take you all along. You have spent so much energy swimming against the tide, trying to control outcomes, trying to predict the future so you could prepare for every possible scenario, trying to hold the shape of your life together through sheer force of will. And there is honor in that effort. There is dignity in the fight. But the season of fighting is ending for you, and what is replacing it is something far more powerful, the ability to move with the flow of your own destiny rather than against it. This does not mean becoming passive. It means becoming present. It means responding to what is actually here, rather than reacting to what you are afraid might come. It means trusting that the same intelligence that keeps your heart beating and your lungs breathing and the planets spinning in their orbits is fully capable of guiding you to exactly where you need to be. Something Elizabeth Angel. Tarot is picking up with increasing clarity. As this reading deepens, is a convergence between your inner and outer worlds that has not existed before now. For most of your life, there has been a gap between who you are inside your true desires, your authentic self, your unedited thoughts and feelings, and the version of yourself you present to the world. That gap has been exhausting to maintain. It has cost you more energy than you realize, this constant translation between your inner truth and your outward expression. And what I am sensing is that the gap is closing rapidly. The new beginning that is forming does not require you to perform a version of yourself that is palatable to others. It does not ask you to shrink or edit or filter your essence to fit into spaces that were never designed for someone like you. For the first time, the spaces themselves are being designed around your actual shape. The opportunities arriving are sized for the real you. The connections forming can hold the full weight of your authenticity. This is what it feels like when life finally starts to fit. I want to address the fear that may be sitting alongside your excitement right now, because I sense both are present. The excitement is there, that flutter of possibility, that opening in your chest when you imagine what could be coming. But so is a quieter voice that says, what if I am not ready? What if I receive this beautiful thing and then lose it? What if I cannot sustain the joy? I want to speak directly to that voice, not to silence it, but to answer it honestly. You are ready. Not because you are perfect, not because you have resolved every wound or mastered every lesson, but because readiness is not about completion. Readiness is about willingness. And the fact that you are here, listening, receiving, allowing yourself to hope, that is willingness in its purest form. You do not need to be finished to begin. You only need to be open. And you are open. You are so profoundly, courageously open right now that the energy of it is palpable. And I want to say something about what preparation actually looks like in a moment like this, because it is not what most people assume. Preparing for a life-altering shift does not mean mapping out every possibility and creating contingency plans. It does not mean reading every book, taking every course, or making yourself into some idealized version of a person who deserves good things. The preparation that matters now is much simpler and much more intimate than that. It is the daily practice of treating yourself as someone whose life is about to expand. It is making choices small, ordinary, seemingly insignificant choices from the energy of the person you are becoming, rather than the person you have been. It is the way you speak to yourself in the morning when no one else can hear. It is the boundaries you hold, not out of anger, but out of respect for your own trajectory. It is the way you tend to your body, your space, your time, your attention, as if these things are sacred, because they are. Preparation is not about doing more. It is about being more intentional with what you are already doing. It is about inhabiting your own life fully, presently, with the awareness that every moment is a rehearsal for the version of yourself you are about to meet. As this reading reaches its final layers, I want to draw your attention to the extraordinary precision with which your life has been orchestrated up to this point. Every experience, every struggle, every unexpected turn has deposited something specific inside you, a quality, a skill, a depth of understanding that you could not have gained any other way. And all of those deposits are about to be called upon. Not all at once, not in a way that overwhelms you, but steadily, one by one, you will find yourself drawing on reserves you did not know you had, accessing strengths you forgot you built, reaching for wisdom that you accumulated without even realizing you were learning. The life that is about to change is not replacing who you have been. It is activating the fullness of everything you have already become. Nothing has been wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single sleepless night. Not a single moment of doubt or loneliness or quiet endurance. It was all being stored. And now, finally, gloriously, it is being put to use. I am also sensing a deep release happening at a level that goes beyond your current lifetime of experiences. There is an ancestral weight being lifted from you, patterns that were not yours to begin with, fears that were inherited rather than earned, limitations that were passed down through generations like heirlooms. No one thought to question. You are the one in your lineage who said, "This stops with me." You may not have said it consciously. You may not have understood the full scope of what you were agreeing to when your soul chose this particular life, this particular body, this particular family. But at some level you volunteered for this work. You agreed to be the one who processes the old pain, so that those who come after you, whether your own children or simply the future expressions of your lineage, can begin from a cleaner, lighter, freer place. And the weight that is lifting from you now is the evidence that your work is succeeding. The chains that held previous generations are loosening in your hands, and the freedom on the other side is not just yours. It belongs to everyone your healing touches, backwards and forwards through time. There is one more thing pressing through, and I feel it with a tenderness that is hard to put into words. You have been brave for a very long time. Brave in the ways that no one sees or celebrates, the bravery of getting out of bed on the mornings when everything felt heavy, the bravery of holding hope when the evidence suggested you should let it go, the bravery of choosing kindness when the world gave you every reason to become hard. That bravery has not gone unnoticed, not by the universe, not by the energies that surround and guide you. And the life that is forming in front of you right now is, in part, a response to that bravery. Not a reward, because you were never performing for a prize, but an echo, a reflection. The natural consequence of a heart that refused to close, even when closing, would have been the easier, safer, more understandable choice. Prepare yourself, not with anxiety, not with the frantic energy of someone bracing for impact. Prepare yourself the way you would prepare for a guest you have been longing to meet, with warmth, with openness, with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing the table has already been set, and the only thing left is the arrival. Clear the space inside you. Let go of the stories that told you this kind of life was for other people. Release the timeline you thought you were supposed to follow, and allow yourself to fall into the rhythm that has been waiting for you all along. Your rhythm, your pace, your unique unfolding that looks like no one else's and was never meant to. What is coming for you is not a disruption, it is a homecoming. It is the moment your external life finally rises to meet the truth that has been living inside you all along. Quietly, patiently, faithfully, waiting with open arms for the world to catch up to the magnificence that you have always carried but never fully claimed as your own. Thank you for allowing me to walk through these layers with you. Thank you for your presence and your trust, for the vulnerability of listening with your heart rather than your skepticism, for choosing to stay open when every defense inside you could have justified closing down. If this message reached you at the right moment, if it named something you have been feeling but could not quite articulate, then I encourage you to return to Elizabeth Angel Tarot whenever you need that confirmation, that reminder, that steady and unwavering voice telling you what your soul already knows but sometimes needs to hear spoken aloud. What is about to change your life is already in motion. It knows your name. It knows your address. It knows the exact coordinates of your heart, and it has been traveling toward you with the patience of something that has always known the way. It is closer than you think, closer than you can feel. So prepare, not with fear, not with doubt, with your arms wide open and your heart finally, beautifully, undefended,